Good morning. Good morning, Gio. Thank you for being here. I was just thinking, Giovanni, that it's been since March 2020, and we may nowadays say the word COVID, and people go, "What's that?" Right? It seems like it's been moons ago. And yet, here we are. Today's episode on the Daily Huddle. We've got a phenomenal guest with us, uh, Antoinette Mooney. Let's bring her on and I'll give Antoinette a proper introduction. Folks, this is what you need to know about Antoinette. She's a mass media venture strategist, a journalist, the founder and CEO of Fourth Moon Productions. She's going to tell you a little bit about that. It's a mass media company devoted to amplifying untold stories and empowering creatives, just like herself. She's a Clark Atlanta alum, soon to begin graduate studies, and you've begun those studies, right?
I
At
am.
Syracuse University's Newhouse School, Antoinette has produced work for major outlets like BET, PBS, and the Pulitzer Center, and she's interviewed folks like John Legend, Kerry Washington, and Kevin Hart. You're going to have to give me a little of that juice, okay? Through her company based right here in Alpharetta, Georgia, she develops film, TV, and digital media that inspires, unite, and spark conversation. She's also the co-creator, the creator of A Hero's Voice, an animated series for youth with chronic illness, and a passionate advocate for creatives and underrepresented voices. Good morning, Antoinette, and welcome to the Daily Huddle. Our conversation today is anchored in the question you posed. What are you deeming impossible? I can't wait to hear, but before you dive into that question, tell us a little bit about your journey.
Oh wow, where do I
How did it
begin?
all begin, and what
Oh,
has you so passionate about what brings you here?
let's say we'll begin my journey in Montgomery, Alabama. I am the fourth child of seven in the household, rural country, raised below the poverty line. But I do remember growing up, being home with my mom, my dad, my siblings, watching TV in the evenings, watching Bill Cosby show, Different World. There were certain TV shows that we would watch and kind of talk with each other about what's going on in the world. And so that led me to first I thought in my mind, I was like, I want to be a lawyer like Claire Huxtable. And I was like, no, that takes too much school. Once I got to high school, I'm like, oh no, I got to go to school too much. And that is out of my frame of what I like to do when we thinking about history, studying, and then my artist, and creative side. I was like, I don't know how to mesh those. And I don't know if that was just a dream just because I was watching it on TV, but I end up traveling the path of becoming an artist or diving more into my artistry and creative path. That led me to working behind the scenes on some different productions because I thought it was going to be modeling for me. I thought it was going to be acting for me. So I tried all these things out. But in my mind, when I watched it back, even though everybody's like, oh my goodness, you're doing an amazing job and we love you. But I'm like, yeah, but I'm not convincing myself that I'm a different person. Acting is I mean, when I tell you it's a real craft, it is an extreme craft that people are able to bring that to the table and to convince audience members. And I didn't feel like I fully
Yeah.
embrace
Yeah.
acting.
So kudos to all the ones who do it and do it
Kudos,
well.
man. I'm telling you, big ups. It's
Yeah.
it's, it's a lot
Now,
of work.
one of the things you're really committed to, and your animated series is dedicated to that, youth with chronic illness. What has you so close and so concerned and so committed to impacting that space?
Oh, for sure. Oh, for sure. I was born with sickle cell disease, the most severe form, as they say, of sickle cell disease, which is SS. With being born with that, the doctors actually told my parents I wouldn't even live past the age 8 years old, and I'm still here. So, with that being
I
said,
won't make the mistake of asking you how old you are, but
and I don't mind sharing because I get this on a daily basis. I am 45 years as of today.
45 years, and they did say you wouldn't live to be past 8. So, what
Mhm.
was it like growing up with the most severe case of this disease?
So growing up with it, I want to say for myself, it's definitely different for everybody. When I was growing up with it, like I said, I'm the fourth of six that was in the household, my siblings. I was the only one who was experiencing any kind of pain, anything that had to deal with sickle cell. Some of my siblings had the trait, but they didn't experience anything. So I felt, first of all, like, wait a minute, what's going on with me? And why am I not, why am I the only one constantly hurting, constantly, if I'm outside wanting to play with my siblings or my friends at school, I would have to come in the house and rest and all of that fun stuff. So I always felt like I was singled out. And so, as far as the pain is concerned, I feel like I went through the most pain, the different, the ups and downs as a child growing up with it because I really wasn't listening to my body. I was in the mind state of, hey, if I see my peers doing it, if I see my siblings doing it, I'm going to do it as well. You can't tell me I can't. So, and I still have that same mind frame, but as an older adult living with it now, I am listening more to my body, say, hey, you can still do it, but let's,
Mhm.
move some things around.
So, as you were growing up, a lot of what you're implying in the question you pose, what are you deeming impossible? You had to confront that and deal with that. So, how did living with the most severe case of sickle cell give you your relationship to life, your relationship to your business? As an entrepreneur, you must be facing the impossible in a different way than others do. Tell us a little bit about that. How did that shape you?
I want to, and I'm gonna speak back to again when I was younger. I want to believe that it has been a lot of things instilled within me that I feel like are still developing even now through my maternal grandmother, my parents, these ideas and notions where even though they didn't necessarily say, hey, go out and shoot for the stars, I seen them do it. And
Mm.
so seeing them do these things, my maternal grandmother, she would go out and tend her land. She would do all of these things by herself. That just really put an impression on me where it's like, I don't, okay, if she's doing it, I can do it. And even tying that into a hero's voice, that was a point in my life that I'm sharing in regards to my journey with sickle cell as a child. It was something that I saw on TV at a crucial point in my life where I was about to give up. I was like, okay, I keep trying to do these things where I feel like I'm supposed to be here and doing this, but I end up in the hospital. And so having seen this crucial moment, crucial television presentation, and I'm not going to share it right now because you would have to see it. When I saw that, I just knew everything. It just clicked at that moment where it's like, yeah, you can't tell me I can't do it at this point. You cannot tell me whatever I put in my mind, I cannot do it.
Yeah. So, at this juncture in life, when you really look, I'll pose the question to you. What are you deeming impossible? And in confronting that, what lessons have you drawn that you can share with folks now?
In answering that question, I want to say what I deem impossible are the thoughts or beliefs that I haven't um, opened my mind to. That's what I would deem impossible. If I
And
had opened my mind to skydiving or what, I mean, something that I haven't even thought on yet. Where I'm gonna say this for an example. When after I graduated from Clark Atlanta, I was like, I'm done. I'm finished. I don't have to, do any more school. This bachelor's is good. Then it came back around where it's like, yeah, I don't necessarily think that I'm done at this point. Let's open my mind back up to go get your master's. So where in my mind, physically, not saying the master's was impossible, everything mounting around getting the master's seemed impossible. Financial, the commitment, the time, everything that centered around getting the master's, those were impossibilities. But as soon as I opened my mind to, oh yeah, I can go and get that, the financial came into place, the being able to commit the time to get it done, to organizing my schedule, to say this is how we're going to fit it in at this very moment, even while producing a whole new animation series and opening up a physical location in Alpharetta. So it's, once I opened my mind to it, I was like, oh, it's no longer impossible. But it's those
Mhm.
things that I feel like that are sitting off to the side where
Yeah,
we'll push it off like, yeah, it's not something I want to do. But once it hits you, it's like, why not? So I
yeah,
think those why nots are in that impossible area.
yeah. So, given your experience and what you've been able to achieve, if you were plotting, say, an approach to confronting the impossible and you bottle it up and gift it today to the entrepreneurs who are listening, the professionals who are listening, uh, how do you want to shape that lesson? And
Oh, that's funny because that is exactly what this animated short is going to do as well. So when
ah,
most people like, oh, I'll go and just see the animated short, it is actually wrapped up in this entire project is wrapping up the process of from concept to completion so that independent filmmakers can even understand how to get your idea off of you out of your head and onto paper and into the theaters, or how to even start with the project and get it to the masses. Because as an artist, and this is what I did with my very first short film, is on YouTube. When I said I wanted to do a short film and actually direct and produce and take on those roles, my mind went straight to, oh, I'm just going to make it and put it on YouTube. I didn't even think about the everything else that needs to go into how do I get this to everybody else? How do I make sure that this money is, I mean, this project is going to make money afterwards? That didn't hit me. I was just so excited to make the project. And these are some of the things that we're going to actually talk about and actually package and deliver for our independent artists, for our students who are in school right now, I am truly passionate about working with and on all of our projects, to understand it's more than just an idea, what you have in your head. God has given you so much more packaged in that one idea where you can really unpackage it and
mhm.
market it in so many different ways to continue streams of income for yourself.
So, as a sense that there's what you're creating through this, and you're hinting at it, but you're not saying it yet, as if you want to hold it back a little bit.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Just a little bit because as it's being developed, I want to make sure that is I have the rights and everything to package it and put it together and not just pre just give away everything. That's I don't want to give away everything right now. Definitely in the interviews when we're talking about it, because
Yeah. So,
it's like little small nuances that I feel like which sets us apart, which definitely sets Fourth Moon Productions apart.
so who are you targeting, and what is your intention for them?
For Fourth Moon Productions, or are you talking about for the animated, or
Uh,
just all
or
together?
altogether, like
All together.
this is your whole life. Your whole life is wrapped up into this,
I
and you're
know.
expressing it in through your company as well as the animated series. So, what is your intention? Who do you want to impact, and how do you want to impact them?
I want to impact individuals who, again, are losing hope, are tied up in everything that's going on in this world and believe and being bogged down and buried under all of these different circumstances and different things that is telling you that you cannot move forward. Placing these barriers in front of you through my content that I'm delivering, through the opportunities we are providing. I want you to believe and know that there is space somewhere for you to do what you was created to do here in this world.
Giovanni was speaking earlier about what was impossible to him, and he's going to do it anyway.
Yes.
And is this project for you now living in that space where you're going to do it anyway?
Oh,
And there are aspects of it that are challenging to you. What's most challenging to you right now?
to answer the first question, yes, it's going to be done anyway because majority of the work, I'm saying 100% of the work that I go into, I always see the end at the beginning. So seeing that end, I was like, I already know this is already taken care of. But again, it's the steps along the way to break that down. And that's usually my biggest challenge. I'm always, oh, okay, big, 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 because this is what I see. And I'm like, let's shoot there ASAP because no baby steps, let's get there ASAP. So that's usually my challenge is slowing it down and understanding the steps and the processes to get to that big reveal in the end.
In the end.
Yeah.
Jill, I want to invite you in to continue the conversation with us. You began creating what was impossible for you uh, in the context of dealing with the illness you're dealing with on a daily basis, Antoinette. How does that impact your life? And how does it impact your work today?
On a daily basis, it has, I want to say my journey with sickle cell disease have like done a flip from being constantly hospitalized when I was younger, blood transfusions, all of these different things that I was being introduced to between the ages of 5 and 15. Now, in this stage of life, it has slowed down. I have not been hospitalized, not having to have all these constant blood transfusions, not having to be constantly sitting in the doctor's offices and seeing everything. And I credit that all to God because, again, I don't feel like it's anything major I've done other than listening to my body and like really kind of slowing down to understand, hey, you can do these things, but you might want to understand that maybe you need to eat this, maybe you need to, prepare here, exercising on, what I'm saying, and incorporating these different changes that I need to have within my life and how that impacts my daily as far as work is concerned. I work for myself. So I definitely I'm grateful to be able to set up a dynamic to where I'm working, how I'm working, I'm not stressing myself. I'm not, I'm very aware of my mental health awareness of what I'm doing and including that with my diet and moving around and things of that nature. So that's why I was very mindful and I was very hopeful and grateful for the opportunity to be able to work for myself, to be able to create that culture, not just for myself, that environment for myself to thrive in, but for other people who are working alongside of me because I know how important.
Yeah,
Yeah, very important.
yeah.
Yeah.
Gio, in the context of transforming Latin America, that lives as an impossible thing for you, what do you want to ask Antoinette from that lens?
Yeah, I'm going. Is it okay if I get out of the lens a little bit?
Yeah, please.
Yeah. So, Antoinette, thank you for being here. This has been wonderful to hear
Thank
your story
thank you.
and inspiring in so many ways. And I see how you create this question. What do you seem impossible for yourself? And let's find a way to tackle it, right? And I can see your life story has been a series of impossibilities that came true, right? Being a child of 7 children, living under poverty line. And one of the things that I heard while you were speaking was that, and I wrote it down, it was that while you were watching those TV shows, Cosby and the other shows, there was something natural for you that I think that for most of us doesn't happen. And it's that you somehow you found a way to not see yourself different from the people on TV. And I think that that's something that certainly I have struggled with, seeing people who have a big impact, like people who are on TV or people who are doing all the things. I do see them as special, separate from me. The gap between who they are and who I am, it's an impossibility.
Wow.
And I think that that's something that you naturally, your mind, it seems to me, I don't know, you said, no, I can do what they do.
Yeah.
Regardless of where I'm born and the circumstances I'm in, and with the body, with the conditions that my body has, I can still create. I can still be resourceful. I can still find a way. And what I'm hearing in what you're saying, or maybe I'm just getting that for myself, maybe you're not saying it. What I'm hearing is that there's something powerful that happens to a human being when we genuinely don't give up hope. Genuinely don't give up hope. And I wrote for myself here, you can't see yourself different from others.
Exactly.
It's like, don't do that. You have to find a way. And I think that going back to Saurel's question, in my commitment to elevate the what I call the leadership that is inside of all of us, and particularly in my case to the Latin American community, I've got to find a way to have them see what you saw, that we're not separate.
Right.
I was in Colombia a few weeks ago, and we went to visit this town, and we were driving from the main city to a small town. And Liz, who's on this call here, she says, on average in Colombia, it takes 9 generations to go from one economic status to the next one. And I thought, man, that's really messed up. I mean, we've got to do something. 9 generations? And I really hope she's lying. And I hope that where she got her stats is lying. I mean, we're saying 300 years need to pass by for a generation to go to the next level. It cannot be. It cannot be. And so that's what my life is about. It's about closing that gap between economic statuses, if you will, because everybody's dream matter.
It does.
And so Saurel, I don't have a particular answer. I don't know if Antoinette, or a particular question, Saurel, either.
That's perfect.
But what I'm seeing is, in the context of today's conversation, what I'm seeing is I've got to find a way to have the guy who's already and the girl who's already impactful to commit to have others see themselves differently.
Can I share something right there?
Anyway, yeah. Anyway, that's what I'm getting so far, Saurel and Antoinette.
No, that's fine. I love the way you even broke all of that down, because when you dwindle it back down to finding a way, the way is you. When you start to see the words that you actually said, I see the gap being filled. I see it doesn't have to take 9 generations. When you see that in yourself and you're doing it and you're modeling it, somebody's going to see you. And that's what happened for me. I had to see it on TV, even though these lives were actually told and framed for entertainment. I saw things in those characters that was like, that doesn't seem impossible that I can achieve that. So someone can look at you right now, Giovanni, and say, what you're doing, even at this very moment, I don't see that as an impossibility. And that starts to break that whole 9-year gap that you're talking about, the 9-year generation. It does not have
Not
to
9 years, 9 generations.
9 generations. I'm sorry. Yeah, 9 generations.
Years, yeah.
It starts with us. You will have the same words that you're saying that you deem impossible. You have to see what that looks like. If you see what that looks like to close that gap, what to create, how to create these spaces for that community to thrive and to have that hope, it starts to kind of create a world, if that makes sense. Your words create a world that you're going to start to build, you're going to start to live in. And once you're living in that world, other people are going to join you in that world. People are going to see that world and going to want to come into that world. And they're going to all look towards to that same impossibility and closing that gap. So again, I feel like it starts with us and trying to go and say, hey, neighbor, get up and do XYZ today. No, you don't have to tell them. You go do it. And I bet you that neighbor, the next time they see you walk to the mailbox, they're like, hey, I might want to join them this time to go walk to the mailbox instead of you telling me to go walk to the mailbox. Do it. Let's do it. Let's
One
do
of the aspects. Yeah, go ahead, Saurel.
I'm just sitting here going, wow, our conversations on the Daily Huddle never cease to amaze me. And so what I'm getting for myself, Antoinette, in your conversation with Giovanni, is that there is a gap between where I am and
right.
where I want to be. And often when I'm standing on this side of the gap in today's status, my status, the status of my life today, as a human being, I look at the gap and it seems impossible to bridge.
It does.
And I hear you say, it doesn't matter. I mean, it could be your family, it could be in business, wherever you are, and you're confronting that gap. Do it.
Yeah.
Like it's like the action itself.
Yeah, so because if we always look at it as impossible, we will never look at what things are already in place to cross that bridge of impossibility.
Yeah.
Because we always have it off to the other side of the world or other side of our mind saying it's impossible. That will never create that bridge for us to cross over. But as soon as your mind click to say, hey, I mean, to me, getting up in the morning is impossible. We don't have any control over that, do we? But we're here. Going to work, you don't have any control over how you're going to get there, if you're going to make it there safely. But you see in your head, I'm going to work. I'm going to get this done. Even if you were to have an accident, hey, I had an accident, but I'll be to work, maybe possibly in the next 2 hours. That thing, you're not letting anything stand in between you to get to work. So whatever that idea is, whatever that impossibility is, it's the same. It's the exact same thing. Just plug and play. Put it in there. Because
you know what I hear?
Uh-huh.
You know what I hear? Different this time around. There is a dream that a child has, the inner child of an adult. I want to be an astronaut. And then that adult finds himself or herself at 35 or 40, and it is somewhat of an impossible dream. And yet what I'm hearing in this conversation is somehow, somewhere, someone said, dreams are only for children. And so the adult in me no longer, and in the adult in many of us, no longer allows ourselves to dream again.
Right.
Because it didn't happen in the first place, and being an astronaut, I don't care what anybody tells, it's just highly unlikely. But there is another dream. There is the dream of the adult, given the circumstances I am in, that is just as real, just as important as the dream of the child to be a police officer or to be an astronaut or to be a basketball player. It's just as important. It's just that somebody told me that dreams only matter when you're a child.
Right.
So I think one of the things that I'm hearing for myself is to awaken in my community and the communities I'm committed to impacting that dreams are not for children only.
Exactly.
It's I think adults have a greater chance of closing the gap than a child has. but we stop dreaming.
Right, right.
And that's what I'm hearing in this conversation.
And to me, it's a lot of the messaging that we even take in on a daily basis and we don't even realize is weighing down that one dream or that one thought because of simple messaging that we get on a daily basis through social media, through the news that we watch, through the TV shows we watch, the movies. Even with like the way that, like I said, the way I grew up, we watch very, I feel like inspiring, hopeful TV shows. Now you have these reality shows where you feel like all the people do is fight and fuss and it's just drama surrounding your life. But it's like that's not all to life. So where you have this individual who's saying, I want to be an astronaut, and they're 69 years old now, that doesn't mean you still can't be an astronaut. Who says you still can't be an astronaut? You could be that very story that inspired somebody else who said, oh man, I was dreaming about being an astronaut, but I stopped because I thought I was too old. Those
I
are
just feel
the
that
stories that we'll
and
listen to and be like,
Antoinette,
oh my goodness, that is so inspiring.
the there's another dream.
Yeah,
The
it's
guy
all
who's like
swimming.
myself, 40 years old, really 29.
Yeah,
The guy who's like myself saying you can still be an astronaut,
you
it
see.
diminishes the other dream. Because the probabilities of being an astronaut, going to school again, finish by 50, it's about 15 years, then actually having my body be ready for the opportunity to be in this space. Yeah, it is a probability, it's very small, but there is another dream. Or the guy who's 35 and wants to be a basketball player. Is there a possibility to be a professional at 50? Super small. But there is another dream. There's another dream inside of all of us that it's real. It's just as important. And maybe if one allows himself or herself to be in touch with that dream, that it's not astronaut or basketball player, but it's a dream that is just as real for the adult and very doable. But it's only doable if I close that gap, if I stop saying it's impossible. And also, if I stop saying the only dreams that matter are the ones that I dreamed when I was 5 years old, is what I'm getting from this conversation.
Oh yeah, because again, we dream all the time. We have visions all the time. They don't stop. They stop when you stop. You're like, yeah, I don't want to keep thinking about that. It's never going to happen. That's when you shut it off. You shut off that water fountain that can continually flow in your life. Because again, at this age, oh, not necessarily an astronaut, but maybe I want to go in and work behind the scenes. I don't know what those positions are, but it's understanding how to get the astronauts or even developing programs to help astronauts at my age to be able to go to create that space. So again, I've seen so many times and so many different stories where if you say, oh, like you said, the criteria for astronauts to be at this age, this particular weight, you know what I'm saying? There has been so many cases where programs, ideas have been opened for individuals to just go anyway and to open up and live out that dream anyway. Where you're like, man, where in the world did this program come? I have never heard of this program. It was developed because you continue to believe. It was created and put into motion. You didn't even know anything about this program, but you continue to do the research. You keep believing even past the age of 30, whatever the criteria is. I still see myself being an astronaut. I don't know how, but if I continue to believe in that dream, it's going to happen. That space is going to
Antoinette,
open up for you.
I want to ask you this question to sort of wrap up the conversation. Your animated series, so your final word for today, your animated series,
Yes,
Rose Voice, that's really deeply personal to you, isn't it?
it is. It is.
And I'd love for you to say 2 or 3 sentences, not about that, but coming from the space that a hero's voice is for you, like that space you are for people with chronic illness. What do you want to say to that world?
I
before?
want to share, definitely. A hero's voice is bringing the stories of individuals like myself, adults, not the kids. We're talking stories of adults who are living and thriving with chronic diseases, rare diseases, disabilities. They're out doing, living their dreams, whatever that may be. Like Giovanni said, if it's plan A, plan B, whatever it is, they're doing these things. I want to share their stories so they can share with the youth who were in the same position, who are in the same position I was in when I was 14. I was in the hospital. I had just lost my dad. My grandmother had passed away back when I was like 5 years old, but it was all starting to hit me at this one time to the point where it's like, okay, yeah, I don't understand how I get out of this mess. Sickle cell is not going anywhere that I know of at this point. I don't know how to do it with it. But there are stories of adults who are living right now doing things with the same diagnosis I was born with. I just need to see them actually living beyond what I'm my 14 years, my 14-year-old day right now. Can I see somebody who is actually doing something that's in the mind frame of what, and when I tell you God created that space, that person, that story just for me. I know he did because when I turned on the TV that day in the hospital, it came on. I was like, how did this happen? But the overall messaging I received was, I knew it. I knew I wasn't crazy. That dream I had to do this, to be this person, to live and thrive, I knew I wasn't crazy. I just had to see it. And I did. And I saw it at the right time. So I want to share the stories of these adults who are living and thriving in their space where they're probably thinking, oh, I'm just getting by. No, you're doing way more than getting by. You're
Yeah.
doing way more than getting by.
And certainly you too will be featured
Oh
in
yeah. Very first story. It's going to be a 4-part series. Each
yeah,
story is going to be tackling a different issue, disease or disability, and we're going to talk about sickle cell disease first.
yeah. And in that space, people may be facing what to them is impossible.
Yeah,
And you
I did.
need it. Love always. Laugh out loud. Eat mostly plant-based. Stress less. Eat mostly plant-based. Stress less. Life is so short. And most of what I stress over, isn't worth it.
It's not.
Stress off, get some sleep. Sleep, give of yourself, give of the things you have, move your body. And last but not least, folks, check your assumptions. The Daily Huddle is on every weekday, Monday through Friday, here, and we stream it on YouTube. Welcome. Stay focused. Have a phenomenal Memorial Day weekend. And we'll see you bright and early here on Monday morning to celebrate Memorial Day. Until then.
Awesome.